So you played by the rules, you clocked in, saved what you could, and did everything you were told you should do. Yet retirement now feels more out of reach than ever. You look at your accounts, you look at the calendar, and that sinking feeling hits your gut. But here's a twist. What if the rules you've been following are exactly what's holding you back? I've spent years watching people in their 50s and 60s operate under assumptions that quietly, to be honest, are just sabotaging their future. These myths sound true, but they collapse the second you pressure test them. Today, we're not just busting those myths, we're replacing them with strategic, practical steps you can use right now to move from fear to clarity and then to confidence. Let's dive in. Myth number one, I've heard this so many times, my expenses will drop once I retire. On paper, it makes perfect sense. No commuting, no work clothes, no going out to eat for lunches as much, maybe mortgage is gone, so your spending should drop. But not so fast. Many retirees spend more in the first decade of retirement. Once you're finally free, you want to do everything you never had time for, traveling, hobbies, home upgrades, spoiling the grandkids, maybe that new Corvette, and none of that is cheap. Financial planners often frame this retirement into three phases. There's the go-go years, higher activity, higher spending, going and doing. The slow-go years, spending eases, lifestyle starts to slow down. And then the no-go years, health drives the budget more than lifestyle, plus other expenses rise. Higher utility bills just because you're home more home maintenance. And the big one is healthcare. And then inflation quietly erodes your buying power every year. The fix? Well, we need to build a real retirement spending plan, not just a guess or a wish. Map out your first 5 to 10 years. I actually map it all the way out to 90 or 95. And we need to know, what do you really want to do? What are your goals? What is that going to cost? Do you want a new RV? Do you want a bass boat? Do you want to remodel the kitchen? What will healthcare realistically look like? This isn't about restricting yourself. It's about giving yourself permission to spend intentionally without guilt or anxiety. Now, a bonus tip, if you are younger, really pay attention to this video and please think about at least considering choosing the Roth option. But there's so much freedom that comes from building out a plan and mapping out what the next 15, 20, 30 years are going to look like and seeing how your money's going to hold up. Don't forget inflation. Put that in there. But once you know, the stress can really come off and you're going to be able to enjoy your retirement way, way more, I promise. Myth number two, Social Security and Medicare will cover me. Are you kidding me? This might be the most dangerous one of all. Let's get something straight. Social Security was never designed to replace your full income. For the average earner retiring at full retirement age, it replaces maybe 40% of your pre-retirement income. If you're a high earner, that's even less. Now ask yourself, could you live on half of what you make now? For most people, let's be honest, it's a hard no. And Medicare, even more misunderstood. Yes, it helps, but it's far from free. You still face monthly Part B premiums. And if you have a lot in IRAs, generating taxable income, you could find that IRMA makes Medicare way more expensive than you thought. Deductibles, we can't forget our deductibles and our co-pays, and then there's big gaps in coverage like dental, vision, hearing, and then the shocker, the big one, long-term care that can completely wipe you out if you aren't prepared for it. So the fix, we got to reframe these programs. They are not your retirement plan. They're just one component of it. And what happens if they have to start cutting Social Security back in 10 years? So we cannot rely on this. We need to treat Social Security as just one income stream, not the entire river. We need to make sure you build health care into your budget, like the major lifetime expense that it is. And that goes back to point one. And you need to choose wisely between your Medigap or your Medicare Advantage. We need to do this intentionally, not blindly, and get some help on these things. Knowledge removes fear and planning removes the surprises. Now, if this is resonating, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with some of your friends because they're probably in the same boat as you. Myth number three, once I retire, I need to play it safe and get out of the stock market. Now, this one feels responsible, but it's actually one of the biggest portfolio mistakes people make. Going ultra conservative exposes you to two major risks: inflation and longevity. People are living longer. A 65-year-old today can easily have a 20 to 30-year retirement. Now imagine your investments earning 1 to 2% in that CD while inflation runs at 3%, because these 4 and 5% CDs aren't here to stay. Now every year, your money is buying less, and playing it safe can quietly guarantee that you run out of money in your 80s or 90s. Early in my career, I saw so many people make this mistake, and they took their money out of the market, and it was so sad. They never recovered, and when the market came back, they didn't, and they had to scrape by the rest of their retirement. So the fix is you need to have a balanced all-weather portfolio, but you still need to have growth assets like high-quality stocks to outpace inflation. We need to have stable, tax-smart income-producing assets for your near-term spending. And we need to have a strategy for withdrawals that protects you during down markets. And this can all be done. This isn't about being aggressive. It's about being realistic with a 25 or 30-year time horizon. The goal here isn't to fully avoid risk. Rather, it's to manage the right risk and then have the right assets in the right bucket. That's so important. I see so many people mess that up. Myth number 4. I'm in my 50s or 60s. It's just too late for me. And this is the most emotionally heavy myth and the most untrue. When people tell me I messed up, there's no time left, I remind them, your 50 or early 60s are the most powerful saving years of your entire life. Now here's why. 1, we get catch-up contributions. So once we hit 50, the IRS lets us move significantly more. In 25, the standard limit's $23,500, but a catch-up gives us another $7,500. And starting next year, there's a super catch-up between 60 and 63 that lets us do $11,250 extra. So that means you could potentially save $34,750 a year in your plan. Do that for 5 to 10 years, and that can completely transform your retirement. Number 2, maybe work just 1 to 3 years longer, and that can be a financial superpower. Each extra year gives you more peak earnings savings, fewer withdrawals from your accounts, more time for compounding, and the ability to delay Social Security, increasing your benefit by roughly 8% per year past full retirement age. And it's not too late. And please be careful with the everybody says I need to draw early. There is a time and a place, but the math they're peddling does not always work out. So be very careful with that. But you're just entering the years where every smart move counts extra. With the right plan, these years can add hundreds of thousands to your long-term security. Generally, you're in your peak earning years. If we didn't save as much as we should, we can make up a lot in a short time. It just takes being honest about where we are and maybe applying a little discipline with a well-thought-out plan. And I think you're starting to see a theme in this video. We need a financial plan. We can't fly blind any longer. The plan is the key to helping us fix this and not continuing to put our head in the sand. So let's call out the myths that hold people back for what they are. My expenses will drop. Not necessarily, and they probably won't. Social Security and Medicare will cover me. They won't, not fully. I need to get ultra conservative at retirement. That's how you lose to inflation. Please don't fall for that. It's too late for me. We just went over that. It's never too late to make a meaningful impact. You don't have to listen to these myths. You're not powerless, not even close. By building a spending plan, understanding the limits of government programs, investing wisely, and strategically using your final working years, you can take back control of your future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Go ahead and hit that button, like and subscribe, and that's the end.